Welcome back to Calm Coding, everybody. You know, we like to do a little deep dive every now and then.
Just a little deeper into a topic.
And this week, we're going to be talking about something that I think affects everybody, pretty much.
Yeah, it's a pretty important one this week.
It's cybersecurity
Mm.
and, all of the vulnerabilities and all the things that have been happening lately.
It's a lot, and, it's one of
Mhm.
those things that, it can kind of make you want to just bury your head in the sand.
Right.
But I think it's really important to actually be aware of what's going on so that,
You can protect yourself.
yeah, you can protect yourself, exactly. And so that's kind of the aim of this deep dive, is to give you a whirlwind tour through some of the recent cybersecurity concerns that are out there.
Right. It's not to scare anybody or anything like that. It's just to,
Yeah.
make you more aware.
Yeah, exactly. Make you aware. And then we can all kind of make informed decisions about how we want to handle our own cybersecurity.
Yeah, and I think we've got some pretty juicy stories, actually, this week. And I'm kind of excited to jump into it.
Me too.
So let's kick things off with this story about DeepSeek.
Yes. DeepSeek.
Oh my gosh.
This company's making waves like crazy in the tech world.
Yeah, they're kind of the hot new company out there.
But they had a pretty big issue. They had a huge vulnerability.
Huge GE.
A leaky database was found.
Like within minutes.
I know, like as soon as the researchers started looking into it, they found this leaky database.
I know. Like you would think that, a company that's so innovative and kind of at the cutting edge would have, really good security practices in place.
Yeah, you would think, right.
Clearly not.
No, and it's crazy because it wasn't just like, a couple of random files. It was like their core stuff.
Yeah, like the heart of their operation.
Everything like passwords, chat histories, API keys.
He's sitting out there for the take.
API key, like those are the master keys to your whole system.
Yeah, it's like giving somebody the keys to your house and saying, here you go.
Just come on in, do whatever you want. Yeah, it's terrifying.
Thankfully, they secured it right away.
Yeah, so the good news is that DeepSeek was notified by the researchers who found it.
Right.
And they did take it down immediately.
They did.
Which, that's what you want to see, right?
Fast response.
Yeah, fast response time. But it does highlight, I think.
Like how important.
Yeah, how important like the most basic security practices are.
Yeah. Even for companies that you think would have it all together.
Totally. And, it kind of begs the question, like, what other basic security oversights are there out there?
Right.
And I think it makes a really strong case for companies to really be on top of.
Security audits.
Yes. Security audits regularly, Don't wait till something happens.
Yeah, wait till it's too late.
Exactly.
So we've talked about a really advanced AI company, but this next story, I think, is something that a lot of people can relate to.
Definitely something that a lot of people can relate to.
American National Insurance Company, or ANICO, as they like to be called.
ANICO.
ANICO. Yeah. They are still dealing with the fallout of a cyber attack.
Back in 2023.
2023.
A while ago.
Yeah, and this one was bad.
Yeah, it wasn't just a minor breach.
Yeah.
Like, they lost a lot of data, and a lot of it was really, really sensitive information.
Yeah, like customer account IDs, dates of birth addresses, policy types, premium amounts.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is like...
everything an identity thief would want.
Right. It's like giving them a little welcome mat to your life.
Yeah, welcome. Here's all my info. Come and steal my identity, please.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just a reminder that,
Yeah, these things have lasting consequences.
Yeah.
This information can resurface years later.
Mm-hmm.
We always hear about these dark web forums where this information ends up.
Right.
It's so scary.
Yeah, it's definitely something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I think both of these stories really highlight a common theme here.
What's that?
The danger of data leaks.
Yeah.
And exposed databases.
Yes.
And it really underscores, the importance of having really, really robust security measures in place for any organization that's handling this kind of sensitive information.
Yeah, so, what can companies do to protect themselves and their customers
Well,
from these types of data leaks?
One of the biggest things is having regular and thorough security audits.
Right. Like a checkup.
Like a checkup, like going to the doctor for a checkup,
Yeah, you might not feel sick.
You might not feel sick, but it's good to catch things early.
You could catch something early.
Exactly, before it becomes a major problem.
That's one thing.
That's one thing.
What else?
Another really important thing is having really robust access control measures in place.
Oh, yeah.
Being really careful about who has access to sensitive information and what level of access they have.
Right. So not everybody.
Not everybody needs to be able to see
We
everything.
need to see everything.
Yeah, right. And so, yeah, I think limiting access to only those who absolutely need it can really reduce the risk of a data leak.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's not just data leaks we have to worry about.
Oh, no.
What I think is even more unsettling is how these hackers are getting more and more sophisticated
Right.
in the way they exploit vulnerabilities and they abuse our trust.
Yeah. It's like they're always one step ahead.
Yeah. And it's scary.
It is scary.
So one thing that's kind of popping up that I'm seeing in a lot of these headlines is that criminals are hijacking legitimate government websites.
Oh, yeah.
Like .gov websites.
The ones we're supposed to trust.
The ones we're supposed to trust.
Yeah.
To redirect users to malicious sites and like phishing attacks.
Yep.
So they're using our trust against us.
Exactly. And it's a really, really clever tactic because it really does play on, our inherent trust in these institutions.
Yeah.
And it's not just happening in one country, it's happening all over the world.
Yeah. The U.S. is actually the third most targeted country
Wow.
for these attacks.
And they often exploit a specific vulnerability in a platform.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's used by many government organizations, so.
So it's like this widespread thing.
It is. It's widespread.
Wow. So, I mean, even the government isn't immune to these attacks.
No, nobody is immune,
Yeah, nobody's immune.
which is a scary thought.
Yeah.
I know.
So, I mean, what can be done about this?
Well, I think it really highlights the need for really robust cybersecurity measures at all levels of government.
Yeah.
Like, we need to ensure that these institutions that we rely on for safety and security are adequately protected themselves.
Right. So they need to protect themselves
Yes.
in order to protect us.
Exactly. And that includes things like regular security audits, penetration testing,
Oh, yeah.
implementing multi-factor authentication to prevent unauthorized access, all that good stuff.
Yeah, we got to bolster the defenses of the places that we rely on for protection.
Absolutely. And, this issue of trust, it kind of extends beyond government websites. We're also seeing this with popular tools and services that we use every day that are being compromised.
Yeah.
And a good example of that is Struct Chat, which is a pretty popular AI tool for Slack.
I've heard that a lot of companies use that.
Yeah, tons of companies use it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's been found that it's been leaking sensitive data, including private messages, internal team names, even links to pipelines and internal URLs.
So like anything you shared on that platform could be out there.
Potentially, yes.
Wow.
And what's really concerning is that despite multiple notifications about this leak, it hasn't been addressed.
Like they've been told.
They've been told.
And they haven't done anything about it.
As of late January 2025, no.
Wow.
Which is a huge red flag.
Yeah, that is.
And it really does underscore the importance of choosing tools and services that really prioritize security and that respond swiftly to vulnerabilities when they're discovered.
So we can't just blindly trust anything
No?
just because it's popular or it's convenient.
Exactly. You really need to do your due diligence and research the security practices of any platform you're considering using.
Right.
Look for things like two-factor authentication, data encryption, clear privacy policies.
Yeah.
And if you do encounter a platform that you find out has been compromised, take steps to protect your data.
Yeah.
Change your passwords, revoke access, and report the issue.
So we've talked about data leaks, government websites being compromised.
Yeah.
Now tools we use every day leaking information.
Yeah.
Is there any good news in the cybersecurity world?
Well, it's not all doom and gloom. There are things that we can do to protect ourselves, but unfortunately,
Oh, no.
we have another kind of alarming trend to talk about.
Okay.
Which is the evolution of ransomware attacks.
Uh,
I know it's not great,
uh,
but there's this one group that's been using a technique called SSH tunneling to create persistent backdoors into corporate networks.
SSH tunneling. That sounds really technical.
It is a bit technical, but essentially imagine a hacker digging a secret tunnel under a company's fence instead of trying to climb over the gate.
Okay.
So that's kind of what SSH tunneling allows them to do.
Oh, so they're going in a different way.
They're going in a different way.
Yeah.
And it creates this hidden, persistent connection to the company's network, even if the main entrances are locked.
That's sneaky.
Very sneaky. And they're specifically targeting VMware ESXi hypervisors, which are basically these powerful computers that companies use to run multiple virtual machines.
Yeah, so they're going after the infrastructure that powers a company's IT system.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's scary.
It is scary, and it's also dangerous because these appliances are often overlooked
Oh,
security-wise.
really?
Yeah, they're kind of like the unsung heroes of the IT world, so they're often not given the same level of security attention as other
Oh, they're
systems.
easy targets.
They're easy targets, and once they're in, they can basically encrypt sensitive data and demand a ransom to unlock it.
Like classic ransomware.
Classic ransomware, yeah. And we saw this happen recently with ENGlobal,
Yeah,
the engineering giant.
that was a big one.
Huge. It was a huge attack. They suffered a ransomware attack back in November 2024.
Yeah.
And it crippled their operations for 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
That's a long time.
It's a really long time, and it exposed sensitive personal information.
Oh, no.
So it just really goes to show the devastating impact that these attacks can have.
Yeah, not just on the business itself.
Right, not just on the business, but on the individuals whose data is compromised.
Right.
ENGlobal experienced significant financial losses, reputational damage, disruption to their operations. It took them weeks to recover and regain the trust of their clients and their employees.
It's a sobering thought.
It is.
So what can companies do to protect themselves from these types of attacks?
Well, I think it starts with recognizing that security is an ongoing process.
Yeah.
It's not a one-time fix. You can't just set it and forget it.
Right.
Companies need to implement these multi-layered security measures that include strong passwords, multi-factor authentication, regular security updates, and backups of critical data.
Yeah.
But it's not just about the technology. It's
No.
also about educating employees
Oh, yeah.
about cybersecurity best practices and creating a culture of security awareness within the organization.
So it's a human element, too.
It's a huge human element.
Yeah.
The best technology in the world isn't going to help if employees are clicking on phishing links or using weak passwords.
Right.
So yeah, it's a combination of technical safeguards and human vigilance.
Yeah.
And, it's important to remember that no system is 100% foolproof.
Yeah.
Hackers are constantly finding new ways to exploit vulnerabilities.
They are.
That's why it's so crucial to stay informed about the latest threats and to be proactive about implementing security measures to mitigate the risks.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like we've just been bombarded with all this like doom and gloom about security breaches and vulnerabilities.
Yeah, it can feel a bit overwhelming.
What can we as just regular people do to actually protect ourselves?
It's a good question. And, while it can feel like a losing battle, it's not.
Okay.
There are simple but effective steps we can take to really reduce our risk.
Okay.
And one of the most important is staying vigilant about software vulnerabilities and updates.
Okay, so update everything.
Pretty much. You know that old saying, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link?
Mm-hmm.
Outdated software is often that weak link.
So it's like the easiest way in.
It's an open door for hackers.
Okay, but who has time to keep track of updates for everything?
Yeah, it can be a lot to manage.
Right.
But luckily, a lot of software has automatic updates enabled by default.
Okay.
So make sure those are turned on, and for those that don't, set reminders for yourself
Okay.
so you can check regularly.
Good point.
Yeah.
So what else can we do?
Well, let's talk about WordPress for a minute.
Right.
Researchers found over 10,000 WordPress websites hosting malicious code
Wow.
that tricked visitors into downloading malware disguised as browser updates.
So you think you're doing the right thing?
Yeah, you're like, oh, I need to update my browser.
Keeping things updated.
Exactly. And then boom, you've got malware.
Wow.
And this malware was targeting both Windows and macOS users.
Okay, so it wasn't picky.
Not picky at all. It just wanted your data.
Oh, great.
And it stole things like passwords, cookies, even cryptocurrency wallets.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So it's a good reminder to only download updates from official sources.
Okay, so the actual website itself.
The browser developer's website, yeah.
Okay, good tip.
So for WordPress specifically, it's really important to keep the platform itself, any themes, and all plugins up to date.
Okay, so everything.
Everything. And consider using a security plugin that can scan for malicious scripts and vulnerabilities.
Okay, that's good advice.
Yeah,
So it seems like regular updates are key for pretty much everything.
pretty much everything.
Okay.
Another example is Git,
Oh, yeah, yet.
the version control system that's used by almost every developer.
Right.
Recently, Git had multiple flaws in its credential helper, which could expose login credentials to malicious servers.
Oh, wow. So even the tools that developers use to build software can be vulnerable.
Absolutely, no system is perfect.
Right.
And tools like GitHub Desktop, LFS, GitHub CLI were all affected.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is a lot, but the good news is patches are available.
Okay.
So once again, updating is the most important thing you can do.
This is starting to sound like a broken record update, update.
I know it sounds repetitive, but it really is one of the simplest yet most effective ways to protect yourself
Okay,
from these known vulnerabilities.
got it.
All right, let's move on to our final example for today.
Okay, hit me.
This one involves Wacom.
What's Wacom?
They make those really popular digital drawing tablets.
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
A lot of artists and designers use them.
Yeah, okay.
Well, they're dealing with a security breach that may have exposed customer payment information.
Oh,
Yeah, it's suspected that a credit card skimmer was planted on their online store.
what's a credit card skimmer?
It's basically a malicious piece of code that steals your credit card information when you make a purchase online.
So it like scrapes the information.
It scrapes it right off the website.
Yeah.
And their online store runs on Magento,
Okay.
which is a popular e-commerce platform.
Right.
But unfortunately, it's also a common target for hackers.
So, I mean, how do we protect ourselves from credit card skimmers?
That's a good question. Well, first check if the website has a valid SSL certificate.
How do you do that?
You can tell by looking for the padlock icon in the address bar and making sure the URL starts with HTTPS.
Okay, padlock HTTPS.
Get it. Also consider using a credit card rather than a debit card for online purchases.
Okay,
Credit cards offer more protection against fraudulent charges.
good to know.
Yeah.
So in addition to staying updated, we also need to be careful about where we shop online and how we protect our financial information.
Exactly. It's all about being proactive, and informed knowledge is power, especially when it comes to cybersecurity.
Couldn't agree more. Well, we covered a lot of ground today, from data leaks to government websites being compromised to sneaky malware and credit card skimmers.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind tour of the cybersecurity landscape.
It has, but the goal here wasn't to scare anybody.
Right. Definitely not.
It was to empower you with awareness.
Exactly. Knowing what's out there and taking steps to stay safe is key.
Absolutely. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive into cybersecurity, I want to leave you with this. What steps are you taking to protect your own personal information and devices?
That's a good question for everyone to think about.
Yeah, we encourage you to continue the conversation on our Kong Coding social media channels. Share your thoughts, your experiences, any tips you have for staying safe online.
Thanks for joining us today.
Remember, stay safe, stay informed, and keep coding calmly.